Hey folks, Ron here. This is a very interesting location to me, and it's a very difficult location to get to. And as you can see, there's lots of loud cars going by me, and dogs barking and all kinds of stuff. This location is right on Sunset Boulevard. Wait till the truck goes, and right at a very busy intersection. The street in front of me here, or this intersection, leads up. You can't see it, but I'll turn around a little bit so you can see it. It leads up. Oh, and there are dogs in the backyard from where I'm filming. So this street leads up into the Will Rogers Park. This was Will Rogers' home at one point, and now it's a national, well, I don't know, a national park, but Will Rogers State Park. Anyway, today's subject is the gate that you see behind me. Evidently, I've aggravated the dogs that live in the fence that I'm pressing up against, so this is not going to be an easy one. Oh, and I had to park and walk a half a mile. The nearest parking spot is a half mile from here. But I did it for you guys because this is very important. Let's see if I move a little bit away from the... Okay, maybe that'll be a little better. Anyway, so the fence you see behind me over my shoulder there is the home that belonged to the drummer of the Beach Boys, Dennis Wilson, in 1968. Now, what's infamous about this home is that Dennis Wilson, had a number of homes and a number of divorces up to this point in 1968. He had been playing with the Beach Boys at this point for 7 years, and Dennis was an infamous party animal, an infamous womanizer, and he was already divorced a few times by the time 1968 rolled around. I should check my facts, but he was divorced at least once, maybe twice. I'll have to check on that. Numerous girlfriends, and of course his life ended tragically in 1983 in Marina del Rey, and I've done a vlog on that as well. But suffice it to say, Dennis Wilson entered perhaps the darkest period of his life when he was living in this home, which you can see behind me, which is completely gated up. They definitely don't want anyone seeing the home there, because it's been sort of an infamous tourist attraction since 1968, since Wilson lived there, across Sunset Boulevard. But what happened was, see if I can get away from the dogs just a little bit. Maybe I can. Okay. And we're moving away from the home, but we can still see the fence there. But what happened was, Dennis Wilson lived at the home in 1968. A rustic house. Unfortunately, like I say, again, all we can really see at this time is the gate. But he was living there, and one night he was coming down Sunset Boulevard here, and at some point he noticed two girls hitchhiking. Picked them up, and hey, that sounded good to Denny Wilson. So he brought them home to his home here, beyond the gate, and the three of them had a little intimate party, and Denny went off to a recording session that night. Well, he came home from the recording session very late, about 3 in the morning, and when he came home, there was a black bus parked in his drive there, and of course he didn't know who it was. And as he got home by himself and shut off the car, a little slightly bearded figure walked out of the house. Unbeknownst to him, that was Charlie Manson. And Dennis Wilson, thinking, who is this guy, this robber or thief or killer, said, "Are you going to hurt me?" Wilson and Charlie Manson said, "No, brother, I'm not going to hurt you." And he bent down, and in one of his Charlie Manson moves, he bent down and he kissed the shoes of Dennis Wilson. Invited Dennis Wilson then in his own home, and lo and behold, there were about 20 girls in there and a few guys, and of course their leader, Charlie Manson. Well, Dennis was hooked because all of a sudden he had a harem of, what did I say, maybe 15, 17, 20 girls to be with whenever he wanted. The girls
continue on Will Rogers State Park Road for half a mile
for him, and did everything conceivable for him, and of course under Charlie's direction. Denny Wilson then got to know Charlie Manson's music, was convinced that Charlie Manson could be an artist under the Beach Boys' new label, Brother Records. In fact, Denny Wilson even spoke about Charlie Manson in the press and saying, you know, I call him the Wizard. His name is Charlie Manson. He's a poet. He's a musician. He has great music. He's very wise. So here's Denny under the spell of Charlie Manson and with the allure of the girls, of course. Meanwhile, the girls are costing tons of money to Manson. Manson pays to get Susan Atkins' teeth fixed at the orthodontist. He's giving them clothes. He's giving them money. There are constant trips to the doctor for venereal disease shots for Wilson, Manson, and the girls. It's costing him a hell of a lot of money. But he really doesn't know how to get rid of the Manson family. Plus, he's, like I say, he's enamored of Charlie Manson. In fact, it's said that Manson gave Dennis Wilson a hit of acid. That Dennis Wilson had an acid trip with the drugs provided from Charlie Manson. And it's said that people say that after that, Dennis Wilson was never the same again, that this particular acid trip did something to him that screwed up his brain forever. It's also noted that Dennis Wilson refused to ever talk about his experience with the Manson family here for the rest of his life, for the next, 25 years. He was very disturbed about it until the day he died. So, here's Manson living with Dennis Wilson. Obviously, because of his association, roommates with Dennis Wilson, Charlie Manson gets to know the Beach Boys. Brian Wilson, Carl Wilson, Mike Love, all the Beach Boys. He's over at Brian Wilson's house, a recording studio up in Bel Air. Brian Wilson's wife, Marilyn, finds the girls disgusting and wants to sanitize the toilet seats after the girls have sat on the toilet seats, not knowing where they've been or what diseases they might be bringing with her. But, Denny is entranced by this lifestyle. Now, it's my belief that because Charlie Manson and the girls became close with the Beach Boys, who were, in 1968, still one of the hottest bands in the world, kind of off and on, or at least were 5-6 years earlier, that I suspect that Manson came to know a lot more celebrities than celebrities will ever admit around Hollywood. Maybe he was even dealing drugs to Hollywood stars and to music industry people. It's known that he frequented the Whiskey and the Rainbow and clubs in Hollywood. Anyway, finally things were getting just too scary and too wacky. At one point, Manson held a knife to Dennis's throat, which was, another one of Manson's things to try to test control and gain control over what he perceived to be his disciples. And Dennis said, "Go ahead, do it. Bluffing, but luckily he got away with it. Dennis refused to formally join the Manson family and stayed, as Beach Boy for the drummers, as did the other members of the band. Now it's rumored that at least 3 of the other Beach Boys had sex with Manson family girls. I wouldn't doubt it. It's a scary episode that they certainly don't want to talk about. Anyway, things were getting a little dangerous, and Dennis Wilson knew he had to get away from Charlie Manson, but he was afraid of him. He had known by this time that Manson was already showing signs that he could be dangerous at some point. So finally, the lease ran out on this house. Dennis Wilson moved out, and he moved in with Greg Jacobson, his friend and record producer up in Topanga Canyon. I think he just stayed in like an attic house or maybe even a basement house. And Charlie Manson stayed here for a while and then had to leave, and then they eventually went off to find Spawn Ranch. But this is it. This is the infamous house that, like I say, hard to get to. Got to park a half-mile away, and these people do like their privacy. Now, I would imagine that traffic on Sunset Boulevard was not quite as extreme as it is now, as it was in 1968. So it's probably much more rustic and quiet. Okay, folks, that's it for now. I'm going to take off while I can. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ron again, and if you like my channel, please give me likes, please subscribe, please hit the little bell symbol next to the subscribe button. That way you'll know when I post new material, which is quite often, almost every day. And please comment in the comment section. I appreciate all the feedback, and I will try my best to respond to each and every comment. Okay, folks, thanks again, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. They're honking me, gotta go.